And most crooks get caught returning to the scene of the crime. I wasn't a crook, but I made so much money. You know, in today's, I was part of the group that ripped the belly out of the world in the 80s. I was one of the key, you know, I was one of them. And I'm happy, and I do it again. But I was one of those guys they talk about in the 80s. I said, no, I'll do something else. And then I picked this. Anyway, because I thought that I could get a monkey like him. I was so naive that I thought a harebrained, I almost said hair lip, that would have been politically incorrect, not a harebrained like you, and I just underestimated the lack of self-esteem on the planet. I just did, because I had never been around. I never had hung with guys that didn't think they were Jesus Christ. I just didn't. They were all tough motherfuckers. I mean, and I just thought everybody was like that. That's dead wrong. Dead wrong. And here I am. The reason why I have a bad back from arthritis, Sally says, because I've been carrying you for 24 and a half years. And every time I'll stumble a little, and that's why I got a sore back. And some of you in this room will be heavier than others, even though you look skinny, light. The dream team, if I hadn't had Governor Kerry, I was going to find the money anyway. But if I hadn't had Governor Kerry just, you know, put grease on the road for me to get there quicker. But even he was, you know, how much we, 135 million working capital. The working capital model has been around for forever. Forever. Overfinancing has been around forever. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's absolutely kosher, legal. Because working capital, the definition of working capital, it's an amorphous. You can't get as they say in Texas, you can't get a hold of it. You can't get a hold of it because it's just smoke. And they're not teaching it anyplace. So
So does it make sense to consider to have a government?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, now in not in the Middle East, in Asia, Indonesia, everybody's an assistant deputy minister. They got 8 million of them. You got to have somebody that done something, and not been linked, not a unindicted co-conspirator. I mean, that hasn't been linked to bad stuff. But the answer is yes. I mean, getting somebody that's government regulators in this country, people that used to be with the Bank of England. And they have nothing to do and all day to do it in. And their pension schemes, plans, etc., don't really allow them to live in the luxury that they became accustomed to. And so they're pretty willing. They're pretty willing. If you follow the deal, only have one time to make a first impression, and you don't look like a couple of the pictures that I showed you, which you don't, and they will. We had a girl years ago who had 2 people from the House of Lords and 2 former ministers on her dream team, and the former chairman of the industry she was rolling up, industry association, the association industry head. And it's very possible. Europeans are less used to getting equity in deals. In fact, the whole other part of the world, other than the United States. The United States with Silicon Valley, etc., is more used to it. But still, other than Silicon Valley, and to roll up stuff in Silicon Valley is pissing in the wind. The multiples are too high, and the risk is too high, and the chances of you trying to buy Instagram, I guess it was, that Facebook bought, are pretty remote. And there's certain industries where the EBITDA, the cash flow multiples have been bid up so bloody high now, unfortunately, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But even at a high multiple, if the cash flow covers the debt service, even at high multiple is okay. It's okay. But you're going to have difficulty persuading your board until you do a deal. And then they're going to see that it works, and then it's fairly straightforward and relatively simple, because they're going to see that it works. And then when you're having drinks, and they'll say, well, God damn, if I could have done this in the 60s or the 70s or the 80s or whatever, which is true. They could have. Yes, sir.
What's like the maximum you can get out of the bank when doing a first deal?
Out of the bank, in what terms? You mean to steal with a mask and, what do you mean?
No, I mean for your first financing.
Well, I mean, 120%, they understand 20% over financing.
Yeah, but I mean...
You mean in terms of dollar volume?
What?
In dollar volume, 10, 20, there is no limit.
Ah.
500 million. And you overfinance it for 20%? And in big numbers like that, you're probably only financing for 10%. But there is no limit. There isn't. I mean, it's, as one of the kids, the deal that I told you that fell apart, although we collected $31 million, that was, 1 billion, that was 3 billion won.
This thing has to pay lawyers and accountants.
Sure. Well, no, the lawyers and accountants took their money deferred. The only one that got paid was him, because the others wouldn't take a haircut. So he walked away with he was the only one that got paid.
But said they can invoice him.
No, they invoiced the deal. He got paid his fee outside the deal.
Okay, got it.
But he left $70 million on the table. So you guys would sell your unborn 3-year-old virgin daughter for that $70 million. Walk away. When I tell you to fucking walk away, I mean walk away. But then I can't. I love to hear on. Now see, you're more restrained on the Zoom calls, but in your fucking weekly report, again, I can't see tears on the emails. But Dan, it's, it's like I tell Sal, it's like raising kids again. I mean, but you don't understand that the world's changed now. I used to hear from my kids, and behind my back, he's a Neanderthal. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But Dan, I said, I'm telling you, believe me. And so then, of course, he thinks I'm a genius now. And all the professionals who were involved in that deal hate me. And a couple of them have come to me to convince him to pay them out of his own pocket. And I say, no. You had an opportunity to take a haircut with him, but you didn't. You left him on the raft by himself. Oh, well, we didn't know we were going to get paid. Well, some people think I orchestrated them not getting paid. Because I knew it's a hard turn, blah, 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 blah. So I get blamed either way. You get paid, you don't want to give me credit. You don't get paid, you blame me. And QLA failed me. Oh, Lord. Any questions on anything? Who's my 5 o'clock? 6 o'clock. 7 o'clock. Oh, I got a real threesome. I'll have a fucking drink before I start. Dinner's back in the castle. And tonight you're going to see one of my most famous proteges, and who stood right there, more or less. And the antithesis of what you've seen so far. So I've given you a taste. I want to give you a taste of all the different management styles, leadership styles. We've gone from psychopath, alpha male psychopath, to just psychopath, introvert psychopath, to alpha male psychopath to now it's going to be introvert, not alpha male. Yeah, weenie. A weenie, which you're all going to relate. Tomorrow, I'm not even going to open it up to comments because you're all going to feel, oh, Jesus, there's somebody kind of like me. I'm serious. Kind of like, oh, God, he's just a regular guy. And he's very disarming. There's nothing regular about him but his public persona. And now, see, you all think that your persona is going to stay the same if you get to be when you get to be high profile. It's not. At my 70-year birthday, the guys that have been in the program 15, 20 years plus, in 3 years, I mean, some they couldn't recognize because they had changed so much. Some of them, money has been bad for them. Not bad that they didn't make the money, but is the dark side of them have come out. Because they were really asshole pricks all along. Now they got money and they're asshole pricks. So money just exacerbates. Whatever you are, it exacerbates it. If you're just an asshole, believe me, it comes out in spades. And if you're, a reasonable, I don't like to use the word nice because to me that's not a compliment. It comes out. It comes out. Okay, YouTube, thank you. Good night.